Alright, so good morning everyone. My name is Aina Luisa Marisason. So we are going to talk about lesson 6, and before that, let me just share my screen first. Okay, so our topic is Memorias Estudiante de Manila, which translated in English, Memories of Students in Manila. So, under the pen name P. Jacinto, Rizal wrote his memoir from 1872 to 1881. It composed of 8 chapters spanning his childhood to his days as a student in Manila. And now, for the first chapter, it will be discussed by Angeline Villarosa.
Good day, everyone. I am Angeline A. Villarosa, and for today's discussion, I will talk about Chapter 1, entitled My Birth Early Years. So, Rizal wrote his memoirs from 1872 to 1981. It composed 8 chapters spanning of his childhood days as a student in Manila. So, Chapter 1 document highlights Rizal's childhood in Calamba. So Rizal, born in Calamba on June 19, 1861. Rizal has 9 sisters and 1 brother. So his father, Francisco Ingrancio Rizal Mercado y Alejandro, given them education commensurate from small fortune. And through thrift, he was able to build a stone house and buy another house, a nipa house in the middle of the trees. So, sa ilang small fortune sa iyang papa kay naka pa-eskwela iyang papa ni Rizal nila ug sa iyang mga igsuon, and also sa pagtigom sa iyang papa, he was able to build a house made of stone, and also he buy another house and made of nipa house. And Rizal learned how to write on his town, and his father, who looked after education, paid an old man. Ang kaning old man kay classmate ni sa iyang papa sa una. So, after some 5 months, he died having almost foretold his death when he was still in a good health. So, after 5 months, kay namatay to ang old man. Sa kato pa lang, wala pa siya namatay kay kato yung death kay na-predict na dito siya. So another notable event in the first chapter is the death of Concha, for whom Rizal shed his first tears. So mo ni siya ang first tears ni Rizal when Concha died. So nag-edad pa lang si Rizal of 4 years old, namatay na niyang sister at the age of 3. So si Concha kay namatay at 3 years old. So it made Rizal realize that it is hard to lose someone you dearly love. That is why you have to cherish every moment that you have with your loved ones. So that's the end of chapter 1, entitled My Birth Early Years.
Good morning, everyone. I am Kajal Messi Pacanya. I am going to discuss the chapter 2. So here in chapter 2, it talks about the Rizal's first time away from home when he was sent to study in Binyan, Laguna, as well as his daily routines as a student. In this chapter is full of Rizal's longing for his family and his hometown. Now let's start talking about Jose Goes to Binyan. It was one Sunday afternoon in June 1869. Jose, after kissing the hands of his parents and a tearful parting from his sister, he left Calamba for Binyan. He was accompanied by Pasiano, who acted as his second father. The 2 brothers rode in a karomata or kalasa, reaching their destination after 1.5 hours drive. They proceeded to their aunt's house, where Jose was to lodge or was to stay. It was almost night when they arrived, and the moon was about to rise. The same night, Jose, with his cousin named Leandro, went sightseeing in the town. Instead of enjoying the sights, Jose became emotional, or he became depressed because of homesickness. And then he started talking to himself. In the moonlight, he says, I remembered my hometown, my idolized mother, and my caring sisters. Oh, how sweet to me was Calamba, my own town, in spite of the fact that it was not as wealthy as Binyan. So makaingon jud ta nga gimingay gyud si Rizal pag-ayo sa iyang pamilya o siyang hometown, of course, because he grew up with his family, he grew up with his hometown. So of course it is just understandable that he's homesick. Let's talk about Jose Rizal's first day in Binyan School. So, the next morning, it was Monday, Pasiano brought his younger brother to the school of Maestro Justiniano Aquino Cruz. The school was in the house of the teacher, which was a small nepa hut about 30 meters from the home of Jose's aunt. Pasiano knew the teacher quite well because he had been a pupil under him before. So he introduced Jose to the teacher, after which he departed to return to Calamba. Jose then was assigned to his seat in the class. Then the teacher asked him if he knows Spanish and Latin, which Jose answered, "A little, sir." The boys in the class, especially Pedro, the teacher's son, laughed at his answer. Then the teacher sharply stopped all noises and began the lessons of the day. Inilarawan ni Jose Rizal ang kanyang guro bilang isang matangkad, payat, mahaba ang leeg, matalas ang ilong, at bahagyang nakabaluktot ang katawan, at dati siyang nakasuot ng kamisetang sinamay na hinabi ng mga bihasang kamay ng mga kababaihan ng Batangas. Dumako naman tayo sa kauna-unahang away na ginawa ni Jose Rizal. It was his first ever school brawl. So it happened in the afternoon of his first day in school when the teacher was having his siesta, an afternoon nap, or was taking a rest. Jose then met the bully named Pedro. He was angry at this bully for making fun of him during his conversation with the teacher in the morning. Jose then challenged Pedro to a fight. The latter readily accepted, thinking that he could easily beat the Calamba boy who was smaller and weaker and younger. After the class in the afternoon, a classmate named Andres Salandan challenged him to an arm wrestling match. And then they went to a sidewalk of a house and fight using with their arms. Jose, having the weaker arm, lost and nearly cracked his head on the sidewalk. In the upcoming succeeding days, he had other fights with the boys of Binyan. He was not quarrelsome by nature, but he never ran away from a fight. He was brave enough to fight for himself. He's not letting himself to get bullied by others. Now let's talk about his painting lessons in Binyan. So near the school was the house of an old painter, the father-in-law of the school teacher. Jose, lured by his love for painting, or he was charmed by his love for painting, and then he spent many leisure hours at the painter's studio. Old Juancho, the name of the old painter, he freely gave him lessons in drawing and painting. And then old Juancho was very impressed by the artistic talent of the Calamba lad, which is Jose. Jose Rizal and his classmate Jose Guevara, who also loved painting, became an apprentice of the old painter. Both Rizal and Guevara improved their art, and because of that, they became the favorite painters of the class. And now let's talk about Jose Rizal's daily life in Binyan. There was his life, or the life of Jose Rizal while staying in Binyan. So Jose heard the 4 o'clock mass, if there was any, or he would study his lesson at that hour, and he went to the mass afterwards. Jose Rizal returned home and went to the orchard to look for a bolo to eat. Secondly, then he took breakfast, which consisted generally of a dish of rice and 2 dried small fish, and Jose went to the class from which he came out at 10 o'clock. And he went home at once. If there was some special dish, Leandro and Jose took some of it to the house of her aunt's children, which Jose never did at home, nor would he ever do it. And Jose returned without saying a word. He then ate with them, and afterwards he continued to study. The next day, Jose Rizal went to school at 2 and came out at 5. He played a short while with some nice cousins, and he returned home. After that, Jose Rizal studied his lesson. He drew a little, and afterwards he took his supper, consisting of 1 or 2 dishes of rice with an ayungin. It's called likawuk fish. Lastly, afterwards, they prayed, and when there was a moon, his nieces invited him to play in the street together with others. And then Jose Rizal thanked God that he never got sick, even though he was away from his parents. Bisag layo siya sa iyang pamilya. Pasalamaton gyapon siya sa Ginoo because wa siya nasakit. Kay of course masakit siya. Siyempre, mas nindot man jud na kana imong pamilya ang mo take care nimo, di ba? So Rizal is thankful to God that he never gets sick, even for once. Talk about Jose Rizal being the best student in school of Binyan. So particularly in academic studies, Jose beat all Binyan boys. He surpassed them all in Spanish, Latin, and other subjects. And some of his older classmates were jealous of his intellectual superiority. And then they wickedly squealed or evil scream to the teacher whenever Jose had a fight outside the school. And they even told lies to discredit him before the teacher's eyes. So consequently, the teacher had to punish Jose. Thus, Rizal said that in spite of the reputation I had of being a good boy, the day was unusual when I was not laid out on a bench and given 5 or 6 blows. So that's the experience of being the good students of Jose Rizal. Yeah, you have a lot of people will get jealous at you. Masuya ni Rizal kay kagi-bright siya no niya. Siyempre siya dyan mapansin sa mga teachers kay kapansin-pansin magid siya kay sibe ikaw bright ka mapansin jud ka di ba? And beside being smart, he also have a good heart. And lastly, we will talk about Jose Rizal's end of Binyan schooling. So before the Christmas season in 1870, Jose receives a letter from his sister Saturnina, informing him of the arrival of the steamer called Talim, a steamer that Jose rode, which would take him from Binyan to Calamba. Jose left Binyan on Saturday afternoon, December 17, 1870, after 1 year and a half schooling in that town. He was thrilled to take passage on the steamer, Talim, because it was his first time. Actually, Talim is like a boat, bangka. Yes, about ka ng mga dagko nga bangka. He was on board with Arturo Camps, a Frenchman and a friend of his father, who took care of him. So Arturo Camps is a Frenchman and a friend of Don Francisco, Jose Rizal's father, who took care of Jose during the trip. And that's the end of my discussion of Jose Rizal while he went to Binyan, Laguna to study.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jaylin Ensebelia, and my topic is all about Rizal memories of the events on 1871 and 1872 of his mother case. On 1871, his mother was imprisoned in Santa Cruz, Laguna. Teodora Alonso is jailed for conspiring with her half-brother Jose Alberto to poison his wife. She was accused of attempting to poison her sister-in-law. Incidentally, her sister-in-law was also named Teodora, same silang name. Si Doña Teodora napriso tungod kay gipasangilan siya sa iyang sister-in-law na na daw siya plano para lasunin siya, which is dili tinuod. On 1872, Rizal had his early education in Calamba and Binan. Education at the Ateneo. On June 1872, Jose was sent to Manila to study at the Ateneo Municipal. So si Rizal gipada siya sa Manila sa iyang mga parents para to i-continue ang iyang pag-eskwela. And ang kuyob niya aning panahon na kay iyang kuya nga si Pasiano. And during those time, it was only 4 months after the execution of the Gomborsa and the Bagong Bayan. Ateneo was the former Escuela Pia or charity school of Manila under the supervision of Jesuit. So, pinamumunuan ito ng mga paring Jesuit. And ang kalabel ng Ateneo during katunga time is ang Colegio de San Juan de Letran. Ang unang choice ni Don Francisco na school nga pag-enrola ni Rizal is ang Colegio de San Juan de Letran. But nagbago ang kanyang isip ni Don Francisco kaya sa Ateneo Municipal na lang niya gipa-eskwela si Rizal. So, katunga time, Rizal almost did not enroll by the school register because of the 2 reasons. First, he was late for registration. Second, he appeared to be frail and sickly. Mukha daw siyang kanang masakiton. But tungod sa tabang ni Manuel Burgos na pamangkin ni Father Burgos ay nakapag-enroll pa rin si Rizal sa Ateneo. That time nga mag-register na si Rizal, wala niya gamita ang apelyido ng Mercado. Dahil during that time, ang apelyido ng Mercado is pinag-iinitan ng mga Espanyol or Kastila. and it was under suspicion. And that's why gamit niya ang apelyidong Rizal. Rizal was called an externo or a leaving out student during his days in Ateneo Municipal. So externo means mga students nga nagpuyo sa labas ng campus ng Ateneo, while the interno is mga students nga nagpuyo within sulod sa campus. And the first professor of Jose Rizal in Ateneo is Father Jose. Jesuit system of education encouraged competition among students, and according to history, the style of education practiced by Jesuit gave emphasis to religion discipline, character building, and religious instruction. Before and after the class of Ateneo, is kanang pinapractice nila ang pagdadasal. But katong nga time, si Rizal is gamay pa siyang nahibawan about Spanish. So Rizal was placed at the bottom of the class and assigned with the Carthaginians. That's all of my topic.
Hello everyone, I am Justin M. Tomato. So here in chapter 4 and 5, Rizal recounts his time as a student in Manila, especially at the Ateneo de Municipal. In here, he states the different rules implemented by Ateneo to ensure the competitiveness of its students, as well as the different books that he read. He studied in Ateneo Municipal, a college under supervision of Jesuits. Jesuit system of education is more advanced than other colleges in that period. They give emphasis to rigid discipline, character building, religious instruction. Also, they establish physical culture, humanities, and scientific studies. They also encourage competition among the students. Students also were divided into two, Roman Empire and Carthaginian Empire. Roman Empire is the internos or borders. Carthaginian Empire is the externos or non-borders. Each empire had its ranks. Best students, emperor; second best, tribune; third best, decurion; fourth best, centurion; fifth best, standard bearer. Student could challenge any officer in his empire to answer question on the day's lesson. Failure to answer correctly 3 times, and officer could lose his position. Rizal first year in Ateneo. He heard mass on the first day of classes for success and guidance. They went in a class composed of peninsular Spaniards, insulars, mestizos, and natives. He placed bottom of the class. He progressed rapidly. At the end of the month, he became emperor of Carthaginians. Rizal's first year in Ateneo is to improve knowledge in Spanish. He took private lesson in Santa Isabel College during break time, paid for 3 pesos for those lessons. At the second half of his first year, Rizal held back, yet he placed second at the end of the year. His grades remained excellent. Second year in Ateneo, 1873 to 74. Jose regretted having neglected his studies. He studied harder and once more became emperor. There were new classmates. Among them are 3 boys from Binyan who had been his classmate in the school of Maestro Justiniano. During this year, Rizal got interested in reading romantic novels. He convinced his father to buy a whole set of Historia Universal by Cesar Canto, saying that it is required book for class. His first favorite novel was The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, that Rizal became influential to his writing of El Filibusterismo. Jose also read a book, Travels in the Philippines by Dr. Fyodor Jagor, a German scientist traveler, a prophecy that someday Spain would lose the Philippines and that America would come to succeed her as colonizer.
Let's go to the graduation of Dr. Jose Rizal in Ateneo de Manila. In March 23, 1877, commencement day, received the degree of Dr. Rizal received the degree of Bachelor of Arts with highest honor. Wow. Prayed at the college chapel to the Virgin Soul that when I should step into the world, which inspired me with so much terror, she would protect me. Wow. Una iyang prayer sa college chapel. So next is iyang last year sa Ateneo. Rizal became successful in Ateneo. Wow, successful siya sa iyang pag-study sa Ateneo. He got highest grade in all subjects. And that subject is philosophy, physics, biology, chemistry, and language. He was the pride of the Jesuits. He obtained the highest grade in all subjects. Wow. So last year in Ateneo, Rizal became an interno in Ateneo. That's in June 16, 1875. Father Francisco de Paula Sanchez, a great educator and scholar, inspired Rizal to study harder and to write poetry.
Hi everyone, good morning. I am Ressa Impoto. So chapter 6 is dedicated to Segunda Katigbak, Rizal's first love. Rizal, however, remembered this period of his life with bitterness. Ngano kaha? So their love story goes like this. Jose Rizal was only 16 when he fell in love and it was with Segunda Katigbak, a girl from Lipa, Batangas and 2 years his junior. One day, Rizal went to Trazo, Manila to visit his grandmother together with his friend Mariano Katigbak. So Mariano's family came very close with Rizal's grandmother. And upon arrival at Lipa, Mariano's sister Segunda was there at the old woman's house along with the other guests. Some of the other guests knew that Rizal was a skilled painter and asked him to draw a portrait of Segunda. He obliged and reluctantly worked in a pencil sketch of the girl. And he said, "From time to time she looked at me and I blush." Rizal's sister Olympia was a close friend of Segunda and a student at La Concordia College, and Rizal went to visit her every week, during which he came to know Segunda more intimately. Their affection for each other grew deeper with every meeting, one that began with love at first sight. But unfortunately, Segunda was already engaged to be married to her townmate, Manuel Luz. So pagkabalo ni Rizal, he decided to back away and did not propose, even though he had gotten hints of the lady's affection for him. So years later, Segunda returned to Lipa and with her betrothed, leaving a frustrated Rizal to the mercy of his nostalgic memories. Rizal said while recording his first romance 3 years later, "Ended at an early hour, my first love, my virgin heart will always mourn the reckless step it took on the flower-decked Addis. My illusions will return, yes, but indifferent, uncertain, ready for the first betrayal on the path of love." And that's the end of the story. Rizal's first love and first heartbreak.
Mendez Kizel, Chapter 7. Good day, everyone. I'm Kizel. Today, I will present more about Rizal's life. In the final chapter, Rizal recalls the fable of the lamp. If makasearch mo poem about moth and lamp ni Jose Rizal, nice kaayo na siya. One of the most major symbol in the poem is the flame in which the moth is willing to die for. It implies that there are things that certain people are willing to do even if it may cost them their lives. Just like Dr. Jose Rizal, he died because of finding the truth for us. This story is very important since it captures Rizal's symbolic representation of the light. So everyone, I have a question. Did you know that Rizal is the Tomasian before? Yes, you heard it right. Rizal was an above average student in UST or the University of Santo Tomas. Above average siya at the age of 17 years old. Grabe. So around 1877, Rizal, who was then 17 years old, matriculated in the University of Santo Tomas, taking up the course on philosophy and letters. Rizal enrolled in this course for two reasons. So the first reason, his fathers liked it. And the second reason, he was still uncertain as to what career to pursue. So Rizal studied cosmology, metaphysics, theodicy, and history of philosophy in the University of Santo Tomas during his first year term. Rizal took up medicine course with the advice of Father Pablo Ramon, the rector of Ateneo. The reason Rizal took up medical course to be able to cure his mother's growing blindness. So, grabe no? Makatouch kaayo diri nga dapit. At his very young age tungod sa iyang kalab. Sa iyang family, especially sa iyang mother nga naghanap na yun ng pananaw. Naningkamot yun si Rizal, si Dr. Rizal nga makapasar siya sa iyang medical course. Ug sa wala gyud nakapasar gyud siya. Ug dili pa gyud diha na human. Grabe gyud si Rizal ka multitask sa iyang tanan gipangbuhat. While nag-eskwela siya sa medical course sa UST, nag-take up siya og vocational course sa Ateneo. Ang kanang nga course is expert surveyor. He took vocational surveying course in Ateneo, leading to the title of Perito Agrimensor. Excellent work kayo si Rizal sa iyang vocational course. Naka-obtain siya og gold medal sa agriculture ug topography ug nakapasa siya sa final exam in surveying course at the age of 17. Wow! Naka-medal siya and nakapass siya sa final exam sa iyang surveying course niya but could not be granted the title as surveyor nga no. Kay underage pa si Rizal ato nga time. Kay labag man gud siya sa rule sa higher education tungod kay underage pa gyud si Rizal. 17 years old pa siya ato. Pero but still, dagan gyapon ni amaze ni Rizal and na-inspire po sa iya at the same time. At a very young age, nga na gyud siya ka-passionate about education. So, nakasarabot ra ba ang tanan? Dili lang sa kukutob. Hope na mo na-learn something. Bye!
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dailin Ragosta. So, as the continuation of their discussion about Memorias de Estudiante de Manila, I'll discuss the chapter 8 or the final chapter which titled My First Reminiscence. So, ang kaninga chapter is about a story which is the young and the old moose that recalls Rizal the Table of the Lamp. So, this is the story goes on or mauni ang na-remember ni Rizal by the past. So, ang first jud nga nagtudo ni Rizal sa pagbasa is her mother. One night, all the family went to bed early. Then only Rizal and her mother na lang ang nagmata. While nagsige silag basa, nahudan silag suga, except sa kandila. Rizal tired of reading books, that's why gikuha sa mama ni Rizal ang book, then she read it, and Rizal only listened. But after sometimes, napulaan og paminaw si Rizal. So while her mother read a book for him, si Rizal sad nag-enjoy og tan-aw sa mga gamo-gamo or kanang moth nga nagduwa sa suga. Sometimes, Rizal had yawned, then her mother noticed him na dili na siya interested sa gibasa. So her mother stopped to read a book and she told him that she will read a pretty story. So sa pagdungog ni Rizal sa word nga story, nawala iyang katugon then nitanaw siya sa inahan. Her mother began to read the fable of the young moth and the old one. So naay daw duha ka moth nga nagduwag kayo sa kandila. Then one night, ang batang gamo-gamo nilupad duol sa kandila nga nagsiga. Then gitawag siya sa old moth kay basin masunog iyang pako then dili na siya makalupad. Then the young moth said na wala siya nahadlok. So mao to nagpadayon siya lupad hangtod iyang pako nadikit sa kayo unya natagak siya sa lamisa. Then the old moth said na tungod sa iyang pagdisobey dili na noon siya makalupad. So samtang naminaw si Rizal sa story, nalingaw sad siya tan-aw sa gamo-gamo nga nagduwa sa ilahang suga. Napansin ni Rizal kung nganong muduol ang gamo-gamo sa suga. It's because ganahan siya makakita og kahayag bisan mapanganib pa niya. Rizal did not notice nga nahuman na di ay og basa iyang mama sa story tungod sa iyang pag-enjoy og tan-aw sa mga gamo-gamo. So before they sleep, gisultian si Rizal sa iyang mama na dapat dili niya sundon ang gibuhat sa batang gamo-gamo. Dapat siya maminaw kung unsay pangaral sa ginikanan or sa matatanda para dili siya mapahamak. So mao to ang story ni Rizal nga hangtod natiguang siya kanang he still remembered. So kaning nga chapter, it captures Rizal's symbolic representation of the light. Moth is a small insect that flies about a flame. Mura na silag butterfly but mostly they fly at night. Moth in Tagalog is gamo-gamo, then sa Bisaya anunugba. Anha na sila sa suga maglupad-lupad especially kung gabi.
And that's all for lesson 6. Thank you.